right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into something that is, let's be honest, famously complex and super misunderstood: the world of Japanese business and culture. There's this great line from a Nobel Prize-winning economist. He basically said you've got developed countries, you've got underdeveloped countries, and then you've got Japan. The point he was making is that Japan is just different. It so often works on principles that are the total opposite of what we're used to in the West. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, to really understand Japan, the first thing we've got to do is kind of unlearn everything we think we know. Seriously, because if you're coming from the West, a lot of things there are going to feel like they're completely backwards. We're taking a trip to what you could call opposite land. Okay, here's a perfect example. You ask people in global surveys, hey, what's the healthiest country on Earth? And what do they say? Almost every single time, it's Japan, right? But why they think that? Well, that's where the myths start. So the myth is this beautiful picture of a nation built on sushi and Zen meditation. Super calm, super healthy. But the reality? Well, for one, most Japanese people don't eat a ton of sushi. It's pretty expensive. The actual most popular meal is curry and rice. And the one thing that tourists absolutely rave about, it's not the Zen gardens, it's the high-tech toilets. Yeah, really. All right, so now that we've kind of set the stage, let's just dive right in and bust some of the biggest stereotypes about Japanese culture. This is where that whole opposite land idea really starts to get fun. I mean, we all have this image in our heads, right? Especially of the older generation in Japan. You're thinking stiff, formal, super serious, lots of suits, lots of bowing, everybody just quietly conforming. But then, check this out. The reality is something else entirely. Back in 2007, when 1.5 million baby boomer men hit retirement, you know what the fastest selling product was for them? Not gardening tools, the electric guitar. They were all rushing out to find their old college bandmates and start jamming again. It just goes to show you there's this massive passion for having fun that's just under the surface. And that right there, that points to the real market. People over 60, get this, control 70% of all consumer spending in Japan. 70%. That makes them, by far, the most important group for any business. And like we just saw, they're not who you think they are. Okay, so now let's get into the unwritten rules. The kind of invisible structures that guide daily life. And I mean everything, from a huge business deal all the way down to something as simple as hopping in a taxi. Yeah, even catching a cab has a strict code. So the most important person, the most senior person, always sits in what's called the seat of honor, which is right behind the driver. The next person in rank sits behind the passenger seat, then the middle seat, and the most junior person, they get the front seat next to the driver. It's a tiny detail, but it's a huge signal of respect and knowing your place. And that idea of hierarchy bleeds right into business philosophy, but with this really surprising twist. See, in the West, business priority is usually, owners and investors first, then customers, then staff. In Japan, it's literally flipped on its head. The staff comes first. Number one. The logic is actually super simple. If your staff is happy, they'll make the customers happy. And if the customers are happy, guess what? The investors will be happy too. It all starts with the staff. All right, now let's talk about the innovation paradox in Japan. It's this land of just fascinating contradictions, a place that can feel like it's from the future and the past at the exact same time, especially when you look at how they handle technology and come up with new ideas. Okay, let's look at Fujifilm. When digital cameras came along, their core business, camera film, was basically on the brink of extinction. So the company had to stop and ask itself this really fundamental question: what are we actually good at? What business are we really in? And what they realized was that there are hundreds of scientists, all these PhDs. They weren't just film experts. They were world-class experts in collagen. Collagen is the main ingredient in camera film. But you know what else it's the main ingredient in? High-end skincare. And that single realization, it changed everything. They weren't a film company. They were a collagen company. So they pivoted. They jumped from a dying industry right into the luxury cosmetics market and built a billion-dollar skincare brand, all using the expertise they already had. Incredible. But now, for the other side of that paradox, You've got this high-tech innovation, right? But then you have this number 60%. 60% of the world's fax machines are still used in Japan. I know, right? So you have to ask, why? Why are they still using this ancient tech? It's not because they're old-fashioned. It's all about security. Think about it. In a world full of hackers and data breaches, there's one simple, powerful truth. You can't hack a fax machine. It's a closed system. Security first.
And here's another one that'll probably shock you if you're used to Western business. Brainstorming, getting a group in a room to throw ideas at a whiteboard. In Japan, that's often seen as, well, intellectual laziness. The idea is that you're not prepared. Instead, each person is expected to go away, study a problem intensely, sometimes for weeks, and systematically eliminate every single bad option until only one perfect solution is left.
Okay, so after all that, how do you actually win? How do you succeed in Japan? Let's boil all of this down into a playbook, a set of key takeaways for anyone who wants to do business there. First things first, you gotta understand what they truly value. Get this. The most valuable, the absolute gold standard celebrity endorser in Japan is Audrey Hepburn. And she's been dead for over 30 years. Why? Because her image stands for timeless character, grace, and trust. Brands will pay a fortune for that. It proves that in Japan, lasting character beats fleeting flavor-of-the-month fame every time. So, here's your playbook. Number 1, character is everything. Your brand's personality has to be a perfect match with your spokesperson's. Number 2, prepare, don't surprise. Always send your materials ahead of a meeting. Showing up and surprising people is seen as amateurish and, frankly, disrespectful. Number 3, the details matter. I mean, they really matter. We're talking a culture that invents a toothbrush just to clean one tooth at a time. And finally, remember this. Trust is the real product. A local brand like 7-Eleven is often trusted way more than a global giant because they've built that trust day in and day out.
And all of this really leaves us with one big question, doesn't it? In our world, we're obsessed with disruption, with moving fast and breaking things. But maybe, just maybe, Japan's way of doing things, that path of deep preparation, of real expertise, of building things that are meant to truly last, maybe that's the smarter way. It's something to think about for sure.